Hello students of class 12C. We are going to start this sixth chapter of Indian economic development, that is rural development. And as you can see that the name of the chapter suggests us that in this chapter we are going to study that how our rural area should be developed in India, as we know that more than 70% of our total area, which is to be divided into rural and urban areas. Out of this, rural area is more than 70%, and urban area is in a lesser percentage. So it is very important that if we want to develop India, then we have to first of all develop our rural area where the population is also very high. And as we know that the main occupation in the rural areas is of agricultural activities, and highest proportion of the people of India are residing in this rural area only. So if this rural area is going to be developed, then automatically what will happen, that our India will also develop, right? And because the percentage share of agricultural sector in the GDP, gross domestic product, is very low, and because of this, the portion of the GDP which is to be shared among all the different people who are engaged in the agricultural activity are more. This means population is high in the agricultural sector, whereas the production is low, not up to that much level as compared to the population of the agricultural area or the rural area. So therefore, it is important to develop this rural area. So first of all, we'll move into the introduction part, and I'll be reading this from your NCERT book. Okay, so let's start. We have studied how poverty was a major challenge facing India. We also came to know that the majority of the poor live in rural areas where they do not have access to basic necessities of life. So we have studied in our fourth chapter about poverty, and we have seen that in poverty people are facing big problems because they are suffering from hunger and starvation. Okay, and to remove this poverty from the people who are engaged in the agricultural activities, it is very important to develop the rural areas. And in the rural areas, mainly people are not having even access to basic necessities of life. So agriculture is the major source of livelihood in rural sector, and the idea of village development being at the center of the overall development of the nation is relevant even today. So still today there is a need to develop the rural area because still lot of people who are suffering from this big problem of poverty, as highest percentage of the farmers are small and marginal, and because small and marginal farmers are lesser, small and marginal farmers are more, and therefore near about 80% they have to face poverty. It is because more than two-thirds of the India's population depends on agriculture. So what is rural development? First of all, we have to study that what do we mean by this rural development. So directly speaking, rural development is a comprehensive term. We cannot define rural development in one word because it is a comprehensive term. It can be only be explained as it contains many different aspects for the development of the rural area. So if we say that rural development, what do you mean by that? It means the development of the human resources also. This means rural development not only means to say that there should be growth in the income of the people only. No, but it includes development of human resources. Now, human resources, how can they be developed? Human resources can be developed if they would be provided with good educational facilities, health facilities. So, therefore, it is important that education, health, and sanitation, which is very important for the cleanliness, because the diseases are spread due to lack of sanitation. Apart from this will lead to development only. Apart from this, land reformation. It is very important that land reformation should take place, as mostly we'll study one by one all these topics one by one. When we'll be studying about land reformation also, then we'll be seeing this, that in the previous time period, when the British colonization, I am talking about that time period. During that time period, the people who were engaged in the agricultural activities, they were facing the problem of land settlement system, where in the land settlement system there were several zamindars allotted, and they were the owners of big lands, and their work was just to collect the rent of the land from the peasants and then submit it back or deposit it to the British government at a particular date. And during this time period, the zamindars were not ready to get interested to develop the agricultural production, because they were only interested to just collect the rent from the peasants and to submit it to the British officers. Only this much was their work. They were not ready to get interested to get more production by improving the techniques of production on the agricultural fields. They were not ready to help the farmers or peasants, directly speaking. And because of this, the peasants had to suffer due to low incomes. On the other hand, therefore, this land reformation was to be introduced in India. Just after independence, we have removed all the mediators, that is the zamindars, so that the income should directly be moving into the hands of the farmers, or directly speaking, tillers, right? And this was one of the type of reform. We'll study more of this afterwards when this topic will come, because just now we were studying that what do you mean by the rural development. So in rural development, health, sanitation, educational facilities, land reformation also is included. With this, infrastructure development is very important in the rural areas, because in the infrastructure development, everything will be coming, that is electricity, irrigation, credit, marketing, transport facilities, construction of village roads, feeder roads to nearby highways, information dissemination, which means that more and more information should be spread to the farmers so that their agricultural production should increase in one or the other way. And if more and more electricity or roads construction will be taking place, then automatically farmers will be able to transport their goods to the market channels where they can sell their product or their produce at a much higher prices and will give more incentive to them. Special measures should be also taken in the elevation of poverty, as we are talking about rural development. So whenever we are going to say what is rural development, that means that development of the human resources also, infrastructure also, land reformation also, okay, and even the people who are suffering from poverty, their poverty should be removed by introducing several different programs started by the government just to increase the earnings of the rural area people. So all this means that people engaged in farm and non-farm activities in rural areas have to be provided with various means that help them to increase their productivity. So maybe the people in the rural areas are not only, if not are engaged in the farming activities, if they are engaged in some non-farming activities also, then also they need help so that their production should increase, their productivity should increase, and will lead to more incomes of these people in the rural areas. They also need to give opportunities to diversify into various non-farm productive activities. In the rural areas, if we look at the farming activity, then it is observed that for a very long time period, the farmers are not having any other work which can bring more income for them. Because from the time of sowing the seeds on the agricultural field, after that, a long time period is there when the crop gets matured. And during this time period, they are also having some different expenditures, maybe religious ceremony or any festival occasion or any marriage, whatever it is going on in their families. So where will be they bringing in the money for those type of festivals or ceremonies? So it is very important that during this time period, from sowing season to the harvesting season, when the farmers are not having any work in between to earn more incomes, they should be engaged in some type of non-farming activities. This non-farming activities means diversification only. This is a type of diversification. Diversification means when the farmers are moved from farming activity to non-farm activity, but not leaving the farming activity. With farming activity, they should also be carrying on with their non-farming activities. Like for example, in the non-farming activities, most of the farmers are encouraged to start poultry farming, dairy, where they can produce milk or milk products. So all this will bring more income for them. So it is important that diversification should also take place in agricultural activities. As the population is very high in the rural areas and the production is not up to that much level which could support such a high population in the rural areas. It was observed in an earlier chapter that although the share of agriculture sector contribution to GDP was on a decline, the population dependent on this sector did not show any significant change. So this just now I have told you that the population is high, but the production is not that much, very high. Moving on to the another topic here, credit and marketing in rural areas. If we talk about the credit, there are near about 80% of the small and marginal farmers who need loan to purchase seeds, to purchase different farming inputs, needed to cultivate the field. So therefore, it is very important that farmers should also be having this facility of credit. And at the time of independence, money lenders and traders, from where these farmers used to take loan, these money lenders and traders used to exploit the farmers because they used to charge a very high rate of interest. And whenever the farmers were taking loan from the money lenders or traders, they used to charge near about 60 to 120% rate of interest per annum. And they also used to manipulate their accounts so as to capture their land, these money lenders. So therefore, the farmers were very much exploited from these money lenders and traders. So there should be some help which should be provided by the government to these farmers, where a proper facility of credit or loan should be given at a less rate of interest. So for this, a major change occurred in after 1969. Remember that year also. After 1969, a major change occurred when India adopted social banking and multi-agency approach to adequately meet the needs of rural credit. So, social banking and multi-agency approach was adopted by our country, and afterwards the same type of social banking system, it came to be known as National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is NABARD. This was set up in 1982 as an apex body to coordinate the activities of all institutions involved in the rural financing system. So, in the rural financing system, this NABARD was an apex body. The Green Revolution was a harbinger of major changes in the credit system as it led to diversification of the portfolio of rural credit towards production-oriented lending. So, the Green Revolution, during this time period, as Green Revolution was introduced, a big project during which farmers were adopting new variety of seeds on their farms, which needed more of fertilizer, insecticide, pesticides. For this, they needed more credit, means the farmers need more loans, and for this, the Green Revolution during this time period, this rural credit was just to be taken for growth oriented lending, which means more and more production should be increased. If rural credit, or we can say loan, was taken just for not only to produce any type of crop but for high growth rate of the crops. The institutional structure of rural banking today consists of a set of multi-agency institutions. So whatever multi-agency institutions are there which provide a very less rate of loans at a very less rate of interest include commercial banks, regional rural banks, cooperatives, and land development banks. So all these multi-agencies who are helping the rural areas people to get a cheap credit. They are expected to dispense adequate credit at cheaper rates. Recently, what a new type of credit program was started, which is called as micro credit program, in which the farmers or in the villages, there could be about 15 to 20 members who can organize one group, which is to be called as self-help group, SHG, and whatever amount they used to pool and collect, if they are collecting a huge amount after an year or maybe 2 years, they can give loan to their members who are in need of credit without giving any security, without giving any documents, which most of the rural people do not have, and therefore they are having difficulty in getting loan from commercial banks or any other formal sources of loan. So therefore it is very important that these self-help groups should be started, where the farmers, where the village people who were not having any documents or any security to be given, they can get the loans from these self-help groups. So this was a very good micro credit program started for the rural area people, and after 1 or 2 years, if they are collecting a huge amount, they can also be eligible to take loan from the banks, and bank can give more loans to them, and because of that they can get more and more credit facility, and each and every farmer could be easily be helped by these microcredit programs like that of SHG. But if we see here that rural banking is having some criticism also, that is the highest number of defaulters are belonging to the rural areas only, and therefore the formal sector loans which are to be provided by commercial banks, as we have just now studied about multi-agency banking system in the rural areas. Most of the banks are not ready to give loans to the farmers because they are to be coming in the highest defaulters who have not returned back the loan of the banks, and therefore these banks are not ready to give loan to the farmers. So therefore it is very important that these type of microcredit programs, SHG, should be started in the rural areas, and which are helping the farmers a lot to fulfill their needs, to purchase inputs for carrying on their agricultural activity. After that, if we look here, one more system is going to be there, which is to be called as agricultural marketing system. So let's study about this agricultural marketing system. So if you see in the market, every day we get fresh food grains, vegetables, fruits, which the consumers used to purchase from the vegetable market every day. But do you know how this fresh food, fruits, vegetables are coming to the market? It is all because of agricultural marketing system. Agricultural marketing system is a type of process only which involves these type of steps like assembling, storage, processing, transportation, packaging, grading, and distribution of different agricultural commodities across the country. So these are the different steps which are to be taken for agricultural marketing system. First of all, the produce is going to be given some grades. High quality fruits or vegetables are separated from the low quality one, and then it is brought to the market. By transportation, packaging, and then distributing in the whole of the country. Prior to independence, farmers used to sell their produce to the traders, where they used to suffer from faulty weighing or manipulation in the accounts, and the farmers used to get a very less income for their produce. And farmers were not having also not very clear information of what the price of their produce is going to be in the market as compared to the trader price for their produce. They also did not have proper storage facilities to sell their produce at a better price, because once they keep their produce in the storage, then when the prices of the produce, maybe potato or tomatoes, whatever, is going to be high, at that time only they used to take it out from the storage and can sell it in the market at higher prices. So storage facilities were not also very good. And even today, about 10% of our goods produced in farms are wasted due to lack of storage. So therefore, there should be some intervention which is necessary to regulate the activities of the private traders who exploit the farmers. So for this, several measures were initiated to improve the marketing aspect. So what were these several measures? There were 4 such measures. So in the first step, what was done? Regulation of market was to be established. And in the regulation of markets, where farmers could sell their produce at a market price which is going on in the market and get a good incentive for their produce. And however, there is still a need to develop about 27,000 rural periodic markets as regulated marketplaces to realize the full potential of rural markets. So therefore, it is very important that there should be some marketing channels or regulated markets where the farmers can come and sell their produce directly in the market to get a good price for their produce. Secondly, so therefore, about good market should be established. This was the first step. Second measure was to provide good infrastructure facilities. If good infrastructure facilities were going to be there, like roads, more and more village roads are going to be constructed, more and more good electricity supply is there, then farmers would be getting more benefit of this, because they can transport their goods from village to the market in the cities, and they can also run their pumps, water pumps, to irrigate their fields if electricity production is good, and like this. And if good storage facilities, godowns are also there, they can store their produce. In realizing this, the farmers can earn a good incentive. On the other hand, thirdly, the third measure was cooperative farming, where the farmers' products which were produced were going to be sold at one place only. And in the cooperative farming, farmers get a very good fair price for their produce. And this was the third government initiative. We can take an example of this cooperative farming in Gujarat, where there are milk cooperatives, and where the producer, workers, and the suppliers of raw materials, that together used to come together and give rise to a production of a particular commodity. And here, each one of them is getting a good fair prices for their products and for their services. And in Gujarat, these milk cooperatives are running in a very successful manner, and because of which they are getting a good profits, and their demand is also increasing in the market for their products. However, cooperatives have received a setback in recent past, but lack of appropriate link between marketing and processing cooperatives and inefficient financial management may be the reasons for their uh, lesser profits. If you see in the fourth element is the policy instruments, like what type of policy instruments are to be taken up. Number one, assurance of minimum support price. The government used to introduce MSP, minimum support price, for certain type of food grains, where a farmer can get a good price or fair price as compared to the market price. The MSP, minimum support price, is much higher than the market price, where this farmer can sell their products and get a good earning. On the other hand, maintenance of the buffer stock, because whatever type of extra amount of food grains which are coming to the government storehouses, the government used to keep it as a buffer stock, because this buffer stock is that which could be used afterwards uh, by the Food Corporation of India, FCI, and could be used at the time of some natural calamities to help the victims. And thirdly, distribution of food grains and sugar through PDS system, public distribution system. From the buffer stock only, extra or surplus amount of food grains in the FCI, Food Corporation of India, subsidized food grains are going to be, or any other type of necessary food grains are to be supplied in the ration shops to the poor people at a very subsidized rates. This is all done through buffer stock only. The instruments are aimed to protect the income of the farmers. So all this is done just to protect the income of the farmers. It will all help for the development of the rural area only. With this emerging alternate marketing channels, there were several different marketing channels to be established, like Apni Mandi in Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan, Hadaspur Mandi in Pune, Ritu Bazaars in vegetable, and it is a vegetable and fruit market in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and Uzavar Sandy's farmer markets in Tamil Nadu. So these were the different alternative marketing channels through which uh, more and more incentives could be earned by the farmers, and big national and multinational